Your governor just admitted something on camera that should send shockwaves through every homeowner in Florida. His exact words last week in Miami Beach? Maybe there will be a correction in the real estate market. Not might, not possibly, maybe there will be. The governor of Florida just confirmed what everyone's been whispering about. The market is crashing, and he knows it. But here's the part that should terrify you. This is the same governor who sold his own waterfront home in Ponte Vedra Beach in 2018 for $275,000, then watched it surge 50% to $425,000 during the pandemic. He mistimed his own real estate sale by a year and lost $232,000. And now he's warning Floridians about a correction? And in the next 7 minutes, you're going to discover why Orlando, Florida's supposedly unstoppable housing market, just hit inventory levels not seen since 2017. Over 12,000 homes for sale, 29% of every single listing already slashed prices. Days on market up 24%, and the fastest growing employment center in America can't generate enough buyers to absorb the supply. Because while DeSantis has been focused on immigration, culture wars, and presidential ambitions, he halved Florida's affordable housing fund during what experts are calling a crisis moment. He banned local rent control with his Live Local Act. He gutted tenant protections. And now, Orlando is one of the most unaffordable cities in America. And the governor is finally admitting what he's been denying for 3 years. The Orlando housing market isn't correcting, it's crashing. And the governor who ignored it is falling apart. Let me take you back to 2020. COVID hits. Remote work explodes. Orlando becomes a magnet. Not just Disney tourists, not just retirees. Young professionals, tech workers, families escaping lockdowns. In the 12 months ending July 2024, Orlando added 76,000 new residents. The fastest growing large employment center in America added 37,500 jobs in just 12 months. Home prices went parabolic. June 2019, median price $243,000. June 2022, $331,000. By early 2024, prices peaked at $407,000. That's a 67% increase in 5 years. Homes were selling in under 10 days. Multiple offers on everything, waiving inspections, offering cash over asking. It felt unstoppable. Orlando had job growth, population growth, sunshine, no state income tax, and Disney. What could go wrong? Fast forward to October 2025. Same Orlando, different nightmare. Median home price, $387,000. Down from $407,000 peak, that's a $20,000 loss in 18 months. But that's the median. Individual homeowners? Some are down 50, 60, 80,000 from peak. Unsold inventory, over 12,000 units, the highest level in 8 years and climbing. Days on market, 67, up from 54 last year. That's a 24% increase. Closed sales, down 3.4% year over year. And here's the number that should terrify sellers. 29% of every single listing in the Orlando marketplace has already undergone a price cut. Nearly 1 in 3 sellers are slashing prices, desperately trying to attract buyers. Compare that to Tampa, where 35% have cut prices, the highest in the state. So here's your dopamine gap. You expected Orlando to be immune from Florida's correction. Everyone said the jobs would protect it, the population growth would save it. But reality? Orlando is experiencing the exact same crash as the rest of Florida. And the governor who's supposed to fix it? He's been making it worse. Now let's talk about how Governor DeSantis created this disaster, because it's not just bad luck or market forces, it's deliberate policy decisions that destroyed affordability while he wasn't looking. Act 1. The Affordable Housing Betrayal. In May 2025, DeSantis signed Senate Bill 2512. This bill took the Sadowski Trust Fund, which historically allocated over $400 million to affordable housing from documentary stamp taxes, and cut it in half. $200 million goes to affordable housing now. The other $200 million? Split between sewage treatment projects and sea level rise. Florida experts describe this as happening during a crisis moment for affordable housing. Central Floridians are more rent-burdened than San Francisco residents. Orlando's average single adult doesn't make enough to cover monthly bills. And DeSantis? cut affordable housing funding by 50%. Act 2, the Live Local Act con. In 2023, DeSantis signed the Live Local Act. Sounds great, right? It banned rent control across Florida permanently. Local governments no longer can implement rent caps even during emergencies. But it did give tax breaks to private developers who promised to include some affordable units mixed into luxury buildings. Critics like Florida Rising call it big government stepping in to trample local freedoms and a giveaway to landlords, because that's exactly what it is. Developers get tax incentives, renters get zero protections. And when Orlando tried to pass local tenant protections, DeSantis signed HF 1417, preempting all local regulations, effectively gutting scores of common-sense tenant protections. Alana Greer, director of the Community Justice Project, said, "In the midst of an unprecedented crisis for renters, Governor DeSantis just gutted scores of local solutions to keep families housed." HF 1417 is clear evidence that the governor will choose to line the pockets of corporate landlords at the expense of hardworking Floridians. And while Orlando's housing market is collapsing, while affordability is crushing families, what is DeSantis focused on? Eliminating property taxes. He's proposing a constitutional amendment for 2026 to completely eliminate property taxes on homesteaded properties. Experts call it bumper sticker politics because property taxes fund police, fire, schools, roads, parks, libraries, everything people like about their city. The city of Orlando collected $340 million in property tax revenue last year. That doesn't even cover police and fire departments. So where does that money come from if you eliminate property taxes? Nobody knows. DeSantis hasn't explained. He just keeps saying bold proposal and relief for homeowners. Meanwhile, Orlando families can't afford rent. First-time buyers are locked out. Inventory is exploding with no one to buy it. And the governor is focused on a constitutional amendment that won't help anyone who's struggling right now. But here's where this story gets truly remarkable. Because at a press conference in Miami Beach in March 2025, captured on PBS NewsNight, Governor DeSantis finally admitted what everyone already knows. Maybe there will be a correction in the real estate market. Although I'll tell you, I think there is more authentic demand in Florida this time than 2000 to 2007. There was a lot of speculation then. But say there is. Say there's a correction. So you bought it at a rate. They assess it much higher. There's a correction. And they're going to say to keep that assessment up there. They're not going to lower the assessment. Read between the lines. The governor is admitting three things. First, a correction is coming. Maybe there will be, is politicians speak for, it's already happening. Second, he's trying to differentiate this from 2007 by claiming there's more authentic demand. But he's wrong. Migration to Florida collapsed from 360,000 in 2022 to 64,000 in 2024. That's an 80% drop. The demand evaporated. Third, he's warning homeowners that even when the correction happens, property tax assessments won't drop to match declining values. You'll still pay taxes on what your home was worth, not what it's currently worth. That's not reassurance. That's a warning from the governor that you're screwed.
So let's look at what's actually happening in Orlando right now, because the data doesn't lie, even when politicians do. The inventory explosion. According to Jared Jones, a top Orlando real estate analyst, unsold inventory pierced 8-year highs in fall 2024, over 12,000 units for sale. That's a number not seen since 2017, nearly a decade ago, and it's still climbing. New listings surged even as we entered the slower winter season when inventory typically drops. Developers thought they could keep building forever. Now they're stuck with properties they can't move. The price cut epidemic. 29% of Orlando listings have price cuts. That's nearly 1 in 3 sellers desperately slashing prices to attract buyers. And according to Zillow's forecast for September 2025 to September 2026, Orlando is predicted to see just 1.2% price growth. That's barely ahead of inflation. After a decade of explosive growth, Orlando is essentially flat. The days on market death spiral. Homes are taking 67 days to sell on average. That's up from 54 days last year, a 24% increase. During the boom, homes were selling in under 10 days. Now, over 2 months. And many properties are sitting for 90, 120, even 150 days with no offers. The closed sales collapse. June 2025 saw 2,513 closed sales, down 3.4% from a year earlier. And remember, Orlando added 76,000 new residents in the 12 months to July 2024. That's population growth. Yet sales are falling. That means new residents aren't buying, they're renting, or they're priced out entirely. But here's why Orlando's situation is particularly concerning. Most Florida metros are experiencing obvious crashes. Cape Coral down 13%, Naples down 19.2%, Northport down 10.3%. Those markets are clearly imploding. Orlando? It's experiencing a stealth crash. Prices are only down modestly from peak, but inventory is exploding. Days on market increasing. Price cuts epidemic. Sales declining despite population growth. And according to CoreLogic, Orlando is tied to Winter Haven, which has very high risk, over 70% chance of major price declines in 2025. Winter Haven is down 0.9% year over year, but it's partially tied to the Orlando metro area. When Winter Haven goes, Orlando follows. Experts at Realtor.com note that Orlando had 28 homes delisted for every 100 newly listed in August. That's sellers giving up, pulling properties off the market because they can't get their price. When sellers pull listings en masse, it signals capitulation, the realization that their home isn't worth what they thought. And DeSantis' solution? Cut affordable housing funds, ban rent control, propose property tax elimination that experts say is impossible to implement. He's not fixing the problem. He's making political gestures while Orlando drowns. So here's where we are. Governor Ron DeSantis, who sold his own home a year before the boom and lost $232,000 in potential gains, is now warning Floridians that maybe there will be a correction. He cut affordable housing funds by 50% during a housing crisis, he banned local rent control, he gutted tenant protections, and he's obsessed with eliminating property taxes while Orlando's market collapses. Orlando now has over 12,000 unsold homes, the highest inventory in 8 years. 29% of listings have price cuts. Days on market up 24%. Sales down despite adding 76,000 new residents. And experts are warning Winter Haven, tied to Orlando's metro, has over 70% chance of major price declines in 2025. Demands are growing. Democrats are demanding DeSantis declare a state of emergency. State Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith says Orlando was one of the most unaffordable cities in America, where the average single adult doesn't make enough to cover bills. And DeSantis? He's tweeting about property tax elimination and culture wars. The governor is falling apart because he ignored housing affordability for years while chasing national political ambitions. He prioritized developers over renters, corporations over families, and political stunts over solutions. And now, Orlando's housing market is paying the price. The correction DeSantis warned about in March 2025, it's not coming. It's here. It's been here for months. Inventory at 8-year highs proves it. 29% price cuts prove it. CoreLogic's 70% crash risk assessment proves it. And the saddest part? The governor knew this was coming. He just didn't care enough to stop it. Because affordable housing doesn't win elections. Property tax elimination promises do, even if they're impossible to implement and do nothing for people suffering right now. Orlando's housing market isn't just correcting, it's crashing in slow motion. And the governor who was supposed to protect Floridians? He's too busy trying to save his political career to notice the devastation he's created. That's it for today. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.